Oh, that feels awesome.
Hi, and welcome to this episode of John's Motorcycle Rescue and Review. It has been a big week for the Kawasaki CSR project. This week I have checked the valves, I've retorqued the head, I've retorqued the camshaft, caps, put a new valve cover gasket in there and end caps, checked the valve clearances, everything came out great. I didn't have to adjust any of the valves, they were all within spec, and I would expect that on a bike with less than 10,000 miles. One of the things that I did, I've recently put a clutch in this bike, and it just enhances the sporty feel of it, and I wasn't 100% comfortable and confident with the bars that I had put on it. They were still a little bit too upright. I'm a tall guy with long arms, and so the way that it had me sitting, I was sitting still a little bit too much of a cruiser, laid-back style, and that just, especially now that everything's running like it should, this bike pulls hard, it brakes hard, and I just didn't feel like I had the control that I wanted. So what I did was I put a lower handlebar on it. It's an Emgo Magna wide handlebar. I run this bar on multiple bikes that I have, and I really like the bend. It's comfortable for me, and it gives you a lot of leverage in the corners, and that is really nice, especially on, you know, lower speed corners. And it also has a little bit of a rise to it, so it's not so tight as a drag bar, and it makes it a little bit easier to run all the cables. So I just finished up with the bar installation this morning. I have not ridden the bike yet with this handlebar on it, so I'm going to be taking the bike out for a ride, and we'll see what we think. But I'm trying to get this bike ready. I want to do a comparison between this bike and Honda's CB900 Custom, also this bike and Suzuki's GS1100L. They're all muscle cruisers. I've got a couple of them in the garage right now, so it's a fun comparison to see how these bikes from different manufacturers behave and just how they compare, just head to head. And now, given on all of these bikes, I've done a little bit to make them perform even better than stock. So I'm trying to make them into the best bikes that they can be. So I'm going to suit up and go for a quick ride here. I'll let you ride along, and we'll see how the bars handle. I've also this week taken the steering stem, lowered it out of the bike a little bit so I could clean and lubricate the lower and upper steering stem bearings. And when I was in there, I checked, they are tapered roller bearings, which is really nice. Sometimes the old bikes had the ball bearings, which you almost just want to replace. But the tapered roller bearings were relatively clean in this bike, but they were dry. There was hardly any lubrication on them at all, hardly any grease. And what I was noticing, it kind of makes your handling funky because the steering doesn't do quite exactly what you want. So I've also done that this week. Like I say, it's been a big week on this project. All right, let's go for a ride.
I am currently riding Kawasaki's 1981 KZ1000 CSR. And this is my first test drive after changing the handlebar to the Emgo wide, that's the Emgo Magna wide handlebar. And man, it feels better already. I got a little bit of a forward lean, just a little. It's very comfortable. And before I was honestly a little bit uncomfortable on the bike. My arms are long enough that even with the lower bars that I had on it, and I felt a little bit like a T-Rex. I was sitting up and my hands were a little bit too close together. So this new bar just gives it a lot more leverage. It's still very stable, but I feel like I'm in control, and I feel like the bike will do what I want it to do, instead of just being a little bit always kind of wondering what the bike is going to do. So we'll hit some back roads here and just see what the bike is like. Gotta love the sound from that Delkevic exhaust. This thing has such a nice tone. The combination of this bar and lubricating the steering stem bearings, getting them set up properly, man, this bike handles a lot nicer. It's a lot more precise. With this seating position, this bike just feels very natural. The handlebars are just a nice bend. Everything feels like it was when I sit on the bike. Everything is where it should be, and it's just so much more comfortable for me now. I love it.
All right, I don't know if you can tell, but I am still smiling after that test drive. Yeah, the new clutch in this and the new handlebar, it just makes all the just a world of difference. This bike is seriously fun. It's seriously quick. It sounds glorious with the pipe on it, and really that last step of changing the handlebars, it just changes the nature of it. Honestly changes how I feel about the bike. Before it was kind of like, oh, I'll ride it, but it wasn't quite. And there's a saying that I like. It says, if it's not quite, it's not right. And so just making that, you know, it's kind of a pain to do something, a step in the project multiple times, but I tried a different handlebar and I just wasn't happy with it. I should have gone, I know this particular handlebar because I put it on a lot of bikes, and it just feels great to me. So I should have done this in the first place, but I didn't. I used something that I had sitting around, and it was just a waste of time, really. So I'm glad I made that extra effort, took that last step, and changed the bar into something that I'm really comfortable with. It makes all the difference in the world. And then the motor, I finished putting the Suzuki coils on this bike, tidied it up, got them routed the way that I want them, and the bike just runs really, really nicely. It pulls very, very hard from down low all the way up. I do have to tidy up a couple little cosmetic things on the bike, but really it's ready to rock. It's functioning like it should, and it just, what a blast to ride. Couldn't be happier. Hope you enjoy this video. Take care.